From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, mentalist Oz Perlman. Plus the news with Chris Loxamana, and we'll finish the Furious 4 and March Madness. And now, wishing you a happy April Fool's Day. And if you just checked your calendar, you are one. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice.
You okay?
Yeah. A little bug in my throat. All right, so Big J was going to show up today, but he fell ill. So it's just Max Pat in the studio for now. Until
Hooked himself up to an IV because he really wanted to be in here badly.
I like that, but this hooked up to an I've never done the IV thing.
Me neither.
I hear great things about it. I also feel like, if you got the flu, that's one thing. But if you just tied one on, you should live with that a little bit. That's what we call a deterrent. You know what I mean?
It's a consequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you learn a lesson.
Yeah, you're right. But here it works so good.
Yeah, I know. And lesson never learned, but still, theoretically, you need to live with your bad decisions.
Yeah.
And ride it out.
You made that bed, sleep in it for a little bit.
That's right. All right, so we got March Madness. I got stuff I want to talk about. I had this horrible dream last night where I was up on a rooftop, maybe at like a rooftop party or something, and my daughter was sitting on the parapet. Parapet is that part of the roof that is, it's usually like 2 foot higher than the roof. It's usually flat for like 6 or 8 inches, flashed with a cap sometimes of roofing sheet metal. And, if you're pretty ballsy, you could walk along it or sit on it or something.
No thanks.
And my daughter sat on it in my dream, and she sort of flung herself backwards. So she was hanging off the back of the parapet. And I was hanging on to her, and I was like holding her waist and like trying to grab onto her pants and like hang on to her. And she was just sort of flailing, sort of having fun, leaning back, because she's the daredevil of the group. Always did crazy shit, jumped off the bed. And,
if it was sunny, you would know you're in a dream.
I
You'd
would
be
have woken
lucid
up
dreaming.
Immediately.
This isn't real.
No, but she was like, woo! And I was like, I can't hold you that much longer, And then I started yelling at everyone around me who was like standing around me, like, help, like I'm hanging on, like reach down and grab her hand and like pull her up or grab her. And everyone just kept looking at me. And because it was a dream, I kept seeing familiar faces. Like for some reason, Danny Two Sheets was there, but I couldn't say anyone's name because somehow I couldn't figure it out. I kept looking, and there's people standing next to me. I was like, lean over, help, grab her.
Right.
And everyone just kept looking at me and not doing anything. And then eventually she just slipped out of her shorts or whatever I was hanging onto, just slid off her. And then she just fell, whatever the 3 stories were, onto the concrete. And
it's a bad dream. You had a bad dream.
Yes. And then I ran downstairs, and then I sort of woke up. But that was a dream. But now, as I think about it, it was sort of like, I don't know. It was, your daughter's kind of a daredevil, was it? Also, I guess it was this helpless thing of like, can somebody help me? Can somebody help me? And everyone's just standing around watching me, which is no
matter how hard you try, there's nothing you can really do.
It was a weird helplessness dream. But also, I realized I discussed cliffhanger with somebody.
I was thinking of cliffhanger
earlier.
Yeah, that's a very cliffhanger.
Earlier in the week,
I heard the score underneath your story.
Yes, and I was describing the part where Rooker, the actor, Michael Rooker took his novice girlfriend up to the devil's high chair or whatever they called it and slid across the tether, and then there was a mechanical issue, and then Sly had to go out there, and then he grabbed her glove, and the carabiner broke.
Yeah.
But it's always the reason I always drill down on those parts is for the same reason I drill down on the part in Con Air, which is the part where he gets manslaughter for killing a guy, pulled a knife on him in a parking lot in a rainstorm, which would never happen. But I always like that part in the middle of Act 2 when Michael Rooker's going, "You killed her up on that mountain." Like, you killed her up on that mountain.
Yeah.
And then Stallone or whoever they're yelling at, they just hang their head. You know, they don't go, "What the
They
fuck?"
take it. Oh.
Imagine if you did that to Damashek. He'd be like, "What? What? First off, you're the one who brought your girlfriend who has no experience mountaineering at all up to this thing.
How dare you?"
Then secondly, there's some equipment failure, something you rigged. And then thirdly, you hurt your knee, so you can't go save her. And then I risked my ass going out there to try to save her, and the fucking carabiner broke. That's me killing her on top of that mountain. Get the fuck out of here. Right. But they never do. They just hang their head.
They add to the drama. Do you think this dream meant anything? Like, do you believe in any of that? Like, your subconscious is trying to tell you something?
I'm probably dealing with where is the help? Where are people? Why am I having to handle everything? How come I can't get a hand? Why is everything sort of lands on my plate? Like, I got to take care of this, and then I got to take care of that, and where are the others that are supposed to be taking care of stuff? Probably that factored in.
Yeah.
Theme. It's been an ongoing theme for me.
Sure.
Mixed, I think it's like I do sit around sometimes and I think like, where is everybody inside my immediate family and then beyond? Like, where's the stuff? What do they got? Where's their warehouse? Where's their condo in Maui? Like, how come there's nothing other than what I produce?
You've generated everything.
There's no properties, there's no dowries, there's no bank accounts, there's no land, there's no collection, there's no anything. It's just everyone kind of going, "Oh, what do you got?"
And I know it seems like you have a lot of stuff, but that's a weight to bear.
Yes.
Having all of that. So
that probably brought on, and then in a completely different subject, there was Sonny Hostin, who
Sonny.
I love her because she sits on The View, and every sentence she utters starts with, "as a black woman." Also, when you start getting into everyone's ethnicity, it's always felt weird and dismissive, which is, I guess if your dad is black and your mom is white, or let's just say, your dad is black and your mom is Irish, to constantly say "as a black woman" or "as a black man" is really weird and dismissive to your mom.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's kind of a Tiger Woods thing, but it's like when Kamala Harris is like in Africa going, "I'm the first black woman to be vice president of the United States." Like, you're also the first Indian woman, because I think her mom's Indian, but what about mom?
Right.
And then also, you wokesters are the ones who never stop crowing about women and rights and representation. Why are you ignoring your mom?
Yeah, I'd be offended. I'm having a kid that's going to be half Irish, half Filipino. If that kid only identifies as white, it's like, what the hell?
Right.
Come on.
Right. They won't, because there's no woke points for being white. So your kid is gonna work the Filipino angle. But
Good.
if you were, I just think it's weird that the mom's ethnicity is completely ignored out of convenience, by the way.
To make the point,
if you got more, Colin Kaepernick got more mileage out of being half white rather than being full black or all white, and for full black, he would just use it and get paid. Yeah. He's just trying to get paid.
Whatever gives you the advantage in the argument,
right?
Use.
And I don't know what Sonny is. Sunny Hostin, you can look it up, but I think she's like black with or Jamaican or something.
Puerto Rican mother.
Puerto Rican mom. All right, but she's gone. She's out of the equation. I mean, she doesn't say as a Puerto Rican woman.
Right.
And she doesn't say as a half black woman.
Unless she was defending Puerto Ricans, then she would start as a Puerto Rican woman.
That's exactly right. Could we give it a fucking rest? It's so pompous and so arrogant. As a rich black woman who has one of the best gigs on television and who went to, probably an Ivy League school and was a DA in Los Angeles or something in Los Angeles. Really? This is your angle? You have a gripe with how difficult it is for you and your half fucking ethnicity to get along in this racist society and culture that we've created. But she starts, and also the View ladies they're dingbats, but they're ill-informed as well. So I don't know. Do we have that clip where she's talking about? Somebody brought up China. Okay, let me explain a problem here. Every time somebody brings up China, see, the more we talk about what a horrible, repressive, racist culture we have, the more the Chinese pick up on those talking points, and then they show up at our UN thing and they go, you guys are the problems with the race. You're the guys with the race problem, and then we go, well, what about the Uyghurs and Muslims and held in concentration camps? They go, oh, yeah? Well, what about you guys? Except for we don't do any of that. We have Jussie Smollett. They have camps where they sterilize people. So there's a difference. But the more we mouth off about how horrible our culture is, then all it does is put us on an even footing with horrible regimes. So I don't know where that clip is or if you found it. We got it? All right.
Well,
no, we don't have it.
Did you watch any of the TikTok CEO?
Hold on, Dawson's shaking his head. Is that?
It's here. It's somewhere. I'm pulling it up.
All right.
Sorry, it might have been a miscommunication on my part. I knew we wanted some sort of montage. I didn't know we wanted that actual.
No, I said get the scene, and then I said, and she does the whatever. It's just, I think it's making the rounds. It's her talking about how we're just as bad because we incarcerate black men as China is, except for she doesn't get China right, so she fucked that up. All right, so we'll pull that. Dawson, we got a second here. It's coming. All right.
Well, while they're pulling it up,
hold on.
Did you do a lot of roofing growing up? Speaking of being on a roof, because I went on my roof a couple times. It's terrifying. Yeah, the pitch is really steep. It doesn't seem that high when you're from looking up, but when you're looking down, I really don't look forward to going up there.
I did some roofing with my old grandpa, like when I was like 12 years old. We put a roof on. I've done roofing. I rolled roofing.
I have so much respect for roofers.
With my grandfather when I was a kid, and then of course when I got into construction, spent a fair amount of time on roofs, but not necessarily as a roofer. But I've spent.
Do heights scare you?
As I get older, I feel more affected by heights than I did when I was 19. I used to just, crawl out the window, crawl off the thing. When we did earthquake rehab, you got to get those plates, those shear anchor or tension anchor.
Whatever's on Seinfeld's apartment.
Whatever's on fucking Seinfeld's apartment, which doesn't exist in New York. You got to figure out how those plates get there.
Right.
Because the rod with the nut that they're on gets pushed out from the inside. So you want to get them on the outside, you got to go a 5-story building and you got to hang off it. like with just like a rope around your waist and just lower yourself down. And
Somebody has to do it, right?
Put the plates on. Yeah, they don't scaffold those. They just hang. You just hang off the side of the building. So
just seeing the pictures of like all the people who used to work on skyscrapers, all those
Yes.
guys who just walk out there, no harness, no anything.
Yes.
And they can just stand up there, eat their lunch, sitting on the beam. Terrifying.
different time.
Anxiety-inducing.
All right, I think we have the clip, but I'm prepared to be disappointed.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. But when I listened to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country. And so as a woman of color with a 6'2" black kid in college and a 5'7", 5'8" black kid in high school.
How tall are they, bitch?
I need another heights.
Her 6'2" son in college, I checked. It goes to Harvard, but as a black woman who has black kids, as a woman of color. Sorry, that's a catch-all. All right, sorry. We'll
FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country.
He's full of shit.
And so as a woman of color with
clap.
a 6'2" black kid in college and a 5'7", 5'8" black kid in high school, I don't see that part of American exceptionalism. I'm sorry. No. I think this country has a lot of problems that could be solved. Yes, maybe they're putting Muslims in jail in Afghanistan, I think you mentioned, and China. They're putting a lot of more black people in jail
But
here.
can I ask, because we've had this
Yeah, hold on.
Oh
I think the argument is every culture puts people in jail who do shit like break the law or kill somebody or attack a cop or something like that. I don't have a beef with the Chinese locking up arsonists or murderers or gangbangers.
Sure.
I think we have
fair.
We have a problem with them incarcerating innocent people, you fucking nutty bag. I love the way they equate that. Like we have people, and by the way, she says in jail. Like they're not in jail. It's not in Afghanistan. Like you gotta do a little show prep at some point. You gotta get a fucking But by the way, this shows she doesn't give a shit because she said Afghanistan. It's like everyone knows it's China. That's what we're
She's
talking
corrected
about.
pretty quickly there.
Yeah, she don't know what the fuck she's talking about. But yes, as a woman of color who has a black son at Harvard, we also have our own problems here. It's a weird way to roll into your gripe about America, which is I have one daughter, 5'7", 5'8", 5 and 13 16ths maybe on a good day. Now, if she's wearing flats, I have her probably about 5'8" and 5/8. But if she's barefoot, it's probably. I didn't do a metric conversion on her height, but it's several hundred centimeters. I have a son who's 6'2", and he's 6'1.5", but I think in the program it says 6'2" because people just kind of round up. Yeah. So he's somewhere between 6'1.5" and 6'2", maybe even 6 1/8 on a good day. That's barefoot. He goes to Harvard. So as a woman of color who shat out a couple of kids, one's at Harvard, the other's probably bound for Harvard or Yale or Brown or Stanford, you can see we have our own problems here. Yeah, way to set the table with our own problems.
I'll be honest, given the exact amount of same information from you and Sunny, I think Sunny was a little bit better with her argument.
I don't know.
But yeah, same info given.
I'm going to throw a tape on both her kids after the show.
No, we need to confirm this.
Kind of get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But we have black people in prison, so we're no better than China. Okay. And by the way, Chinese just sit back. They laugh their fucking asses off. They're like, oh my God. Like we used to think we're going to have to get missiles and bombers and tanks. We just sit back and laugh, pull up a bucket of popcorn and watch these fucking idiots just destroy their own culture. Awesome. Yeah, she's a genius. What the fuck? How do people get this dumb? What's her point? And it can only be done in an environment when you have 3 or 4 other bobbleheads just nodding constantly and not going, what the fuck are you talking about? First off, it's in China. And it's not Afghanistan, number one. Number two, they take innocent people and they round them up in internment camps. We're not talking about incarcerating guys who carjack somebody the day before.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Another funny thing is the trans activism that is very heavy on TikTok these days is so against the banning of TikTok. And if you follow the lines that, TikTok is essentially surveillance by the Chinese state over America. What do you think the Chinese are going to do to you? What do you think? I mean, imagine the most apocalyptic, because you're all into this climate disaster and apocalyptic futures. Imagine an apocalyptic future where China is our overlords. Where do you guys stand then?
China, I heard, speaking of climate change, opens a coal plant every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Okay. So I don't know what we're supposed to do over here in SoCal, but
the state of California imports 95% of our energy.
Yeah. It's called global warming. It's not called Santa Monica warming. It's global. So if you
want, it was a hot day at the beach.
You want to deal with a global problem, then maybe you should be focusing on the nation that's shitting out coal-powered plants.
Still in the Bay Area, they have these spare the air days,
right,
where you can't light a fire.
Right,
it's cold, and those spare the air days, they always happen to fall on holidays. Christmas Day, spare the air, can't have a fire. Thanksgiving, spare the air, can't have a fire.
They're talking about getting rid of gas stoves in California. It's fucking on. It's nuts. All right, do we have? I told Dawson try a mashup because, as you know, I'm a big fan of Phil Hendry, the radio show host who had that character, does a bunch of characters, but always does the as a gay journalist. It made me. I laughed at this shit 25 years ago when he was doing it, and now we're there. Everyone has to announce. Sunny Hostin has to announce that she's a black woman. Also, why do you need to announce that if we're looking at you? But she has to announce that. She has to preface every statement she says. Is like when she goes to the drive-through at In-N-Out Burger and they ask her order, she says, as a black woman, I would like a double, fries, and a strawberry shake. That's what she does. Which, by the way, should be humiliating to her. I don't know why these people aren't more embarrassed. But all right, I could just start every sentence with "as an Italian American," or you could start with "as a Filipino." I mean, it'd be awesome if you did. All right, Dawson.
Mashup. Would you like to hear just a piece of Phil Hendry to remind everybody who he is? There's this little piece I didn't use.
That I don't know whether it's worth. If I don't put it through the gay eye, then it might be just a turd on the run, man. I got to make sure that is, solid gold, man, solid gold information.
Talking about putting it through a gay eye. Here we go. Here's the mashup.
White supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country. And so as a woman of color with a 6'2" black kid in college,
you're going to be hearing it from a reporter, a gay man, gay journalist. Now, I am gay, and you're aware of that, Phil, right?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
I will tell you, I'm going to admit, as a person of color, can we say the first part of the lyric?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's from a famous song.
I'm making my statement here, and I'm making my case here as a gay man, gay journalist, and I tell you.
But this is the hazard of being a black person in the United States today.
I'm gay man, gay journal. And tell you about that race wreck, man. It's gay man, gay journal. You got black, got white.
The law, as it stands right now, probably protects the police officer's actions. And as a woman of color, I don't know what to do, because this could happen to me, this could happen to my child, this could happen to my father.
Yeah, I'm a gay man, gay journalist. I'd say looking through a gay eye at...
Will you knock it off? Do you got to put everything through the gay eye?
Yes, I do.
All right, nice job.
That was great.
Now, obviously, it's comical when Phil Hendry does it, but it's every bit as Phil Hendry was doing it in 1996.
Phil
she's
Hendry
doing
was pointing out the absurdity
Yeah, he was making
of
fun.
doing it ever, and now it's absurd has become real.
Yes. So we're all living that fucking nightmare. All right. We got March Madness. We want to, let's see. I wrote some stuff down here. We want to get to that before.
Well, speaking of The View, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear that Whoopi is kind of agreeing with you a little bit?
Yeah.
In regards to, remember, we were talking about that Mississippi anchor who was fired for saying the Snoop Dogg lyrics?
For shizzle my nizzle?
Yes.
Is that what it said?
That's what she said. She said that in jest, and I'm saying fired, but she was just taken off the website, off the staff, and I don't know exactly what happened to her. But so here's Whoopi kind of talking about that, and I think you'll like what she has to say for once.
I don't know why she's been fired, but I do know that people have to understand that sometimes stuff comes out of folks' mouths and you might want to start with, hey, maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to say, as opposed to, you're out.
Yeah.
That's just me, having been in this situation before.
Yeah.
Right? And we heard a little bit of this clip, so then which I agree with that statement.
Sure.
One. And then, so here's Sunny. I thought this was interesting. So Sunny wanted to give her take
As a woman of color?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Or a gay journalist. I'm confused.
I know. I forget which one she was.
Well, she is kind of a journalist.
Yeah.
I haven't met her husband. Okay, keep going.
But this is her giving her take, but she has to ask for permission to not even say the whole lyric, just the for shizzle my part, which means for sure. But here it is.
I will tell you, I'm going to admit, as a person of color, can we say the first part of the lyric?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's from a famous song, and it's...
Is it from a song?
Yeah. It's hard.
You guys know.
I'm
didn't
sure
know
it's in a song.
I didn't know it was from a song. I thought that's just what he
That's
said.
a quote. I'm sure he said it's like DJ Khaled's another one. Like he'll say it over a bunch of things.
He might have used it in the lyric.
But anyway,
Well, no,
it's just a thing he says. He says it in commercials. I think he said it in a Corona commercial last week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's what he says.
Yeah.
Aren't we allowed to say what he says?
right, because it's associated with him. But anyway, and then someone just goes, which that's how they were able to get away with it on air. Like they just do the syllables of it.
I don't think that people understand how sort of weird and condescending it is that we pretty much carved out a few things in the black community as it pertains to blacks that we cannot say, but we don't really have that for the Jews or the Filipinos or whatever it is. They will quote what this racist senator said. He called this guy a kike, or whatever it is. But the for shizzle, the nizzles, and the N-words or stuff are the only. It's really treating them like children, essentially. Sort of sad. It's the soft bigotry of low expectation. It's like they're not up to the challenge that other groups are up to, so we're going to have to really soft pedal this shit around them.
Tiptoe around it. Well, yeah. So then I just have one more Whoopi rant I want to play for you because she kind of goes off a little bit here.
Wait, you know what? Now that we're talking about this,
Yes.
there are too many things. Y'all need to make a book of stuff that no one can say. There has to be a book of stuff nobody could ever say.
And then we could all study.
Ever.
Then the book would be banned.
Include everything. Include everything. Because I tell you, the things that change, you can say this, but you can't say that. But next week you might not be able to say this. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up. And if you're a person of a certain age, there's stuff we do and we say, you know what I'm saying.
And then she goes on to say, like, look, people on TV, we say a lot of things, and I don't think it's fair to be judged.
She wants to put it in a book. That's the appendices of 1984.
Yeah.
There's a book of words you can't say.
It's funny when she snaps out of her methadone sort of haze, coma, which is like once every 37 shows, and brings it, she ends up kind of sounding like Chris Rock without the jokes.
The preachy.
She does it. She gets loud.
Cadence,
she repeats, the same thing over and over. She does the same thing he does, except for he ends it with something funny.
punchline.
She's all set up when she snaps out of her haze.
Well, speaking of things you can't say on TV, Mike Lynch had a really great screenshot of you on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
And not censored. Imagine being in your car with your kids sitting in the car and you see Adam Carolla's bit on Sirius XM. And the bit is the C word.
Yeah, which Mike sent me that his wife took the picture of. And we'll throw it up there if we
we'll
have
put it on
it.
AdamCarolla.com as well.
Right. It's Channel 94 Comedy Greats. Hey, snuck onto the great list. I used to be on Channel 93, the Comedy Goods.
Oh, hey,
but I've made it to Channel 94, the Comedy Greats. It's Adam Carolla, cunt.
Which is, it's just funny to see that on your screen anyway.
Yes, it is. It's funny. And it's all I didn't really remember doing a cunt bit, but I guess I must have.
It's an unprepared bit. You got that ball. So,
right.
And every time you get a ball, they just title whatever word you get.
Yeah,
and
I know, but it still felt like I was being called a cunt.
It looks like you're being called that as well. I'm sure whoever put that on the screen was pretty happy about it too.
All right. I was informed that when I was thinking about calling my insurance company and then found out I have this $75,000 deductible.
Yeah.
I then question, why do I have a $75,000 deductible?
$7,500. Was it 75,000?
75,000.
Oh, sheesh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Which would be the equivalent to a $7,500 deductible to you.
To me,
it's $75,000. $75,000 deductible. It was explained that I'm in fire country. Except for every time I go to Mark Garrigus' house, I marvel that this thing was built here in like 1927.
Yeah.
Same house from the 20s. And then there are many homes in the neighborhood that are like ranch houses that were built in the 50s. They were all built in the 50s.
They stood the test of time.
How the fuck can this be fire country if everything that was built in the 50s and the 20s is still sitting here?
Yeah. Prehistoric fires? What's going on here? I mean,
I don't know.
What are they?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
It's all a scam.
You're going to have to do it. You're doing it yourself then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Me and my guys. All right. Do we got some news?
Yeah. So some local news in L.A. Well, or actually Lancaster. Doss, I'm sure you were watching this. There's a nice car chase. Dawson loves car chases. He'll come in the studio, turn on the TV. There's a car chase. We got a car chase.
I missed this one yesterday, and this one was amazing.
Did you see the Kia that went airborne?
Yes, because of a tire that it hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gnarly.
Oh, that was the best. I mean, this thing launched 12 feet in the air, which may not sound like a lot. That's a lot to get a car.
Yeah.
Not this story. Another story.
No, I know.
It's crazy. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, this particular story, this is actually a man who stole a CHP cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
Isn't that kind of on the CHP cop, though?
Yeah, I think so. But not a lot of details have been released. I mean, spoiler alert, the guy did die, but it's crazy what happened. So he's being chased. He gets this cruiser. It's going over 100 miles per hour at one point, but then around the end of the chase, the man's driving 45 miles an hour and jumps out of the vehicle as it approaches a spike strip. Did you see this?
No.
Do you want to see it?
Not really.
Okay. I know you don't like seeing the stuff, especially knowing what happened. I mean, he died in the hospital, but it's crazy. So if anybody wants to watch, I'm sure you can go to Twitter or something.
Well, as I say all the time, when somebody commits a crime, like, all right, this is theft. Now, it's not stealing at a Walmart. It's stealing a cop car. So you probably get a little more.
Yeah,
But
I
this
think
is
so.
California, right? This is California, Los Angeles County. You steal a cop car, you may not serve any time if it's a first offense. I don't know. You're not doing...
It's at least 2 stars in Grand Theft Auto. I don't know.
You're not years in the joint for stealing a cop car, especially if you don't have priors. You you'd have to break parole and have a long list of priors, and then you would do some time. You would not.
You get squatters' rights.
You would not do a ton of time, or if any, for stealing a cop car. Yet, when I hear stories about this, and the guy died, and I think most of us have the same thought, which is like, yeah, good. That's one more fucking gangbanger we don't have to deal with, or whatever it is. I mean, we have a kind of Darwinian, I'm not that broken up about it because he stole the car. And
was I talking about with you, like the people who died stealing catalytic converters? We're
like, you steal a catalytic converter in Los Angeles, you will do 0 time. As a matter of fact, Lorena Gonzalez Sanchez, that big cow, or whoever your city councilwoman is, she'll get up there and grandstand about you being a hero. So, but we all appreciate it. Yet, if you murdered your neighbor's family, including their 8 and 4-year-old kids, we would go nuts if we tried to put you in the electric chair. Well, which is it?
It's some weird animalistic instinct that we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not with me. All right. What's the next one?
All right. Well, let's see. Oh, so there's a Dutch sperm donor who he's accused of fathering 550 children.
Dutch sperm donor sounds like a gay position sexually.
Like a move.
Yeah, I'm going to pull. So what happened?
Oh.
Well, started reverse cowboy. Then I spun that into a dirty Sanchez, and then I went ahead and got the underhooks in, and we did the Dutch sperm donor.
Yeah, it sounds disgusting.
And that's when I finished.
But it's a move.
So that was my Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a Dutch sperm donor. So he's a musician from the Hague, and Jonathan Myers his name. So he's being sued by the mom of one of the children, as well as DonorKind, the Dutch organization for children conceived via sperm donations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what happened is he has donated sperm to at least 13 clinics, the majority of them in the Netherlands, and as well as he's communicated with prospective parents on social media using an alias.
Does he? Okay. He donated, but is this like donating your eggs for $35,000?
I don't know. I know he's just done it way more than people, like the guidelines say you should be donating. Yeah. So
do you want the sperm of the guy? Like, do you want the seed of the guy who beats off routinely in commercial office buildings? Because that's really what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Like,
look, however much she's beating off, it's not really that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to reduce the risk of accidental incest, because this guy is just really he's spreading his seed all over. So yeah, guidelines say one person may donate sperm for up to 25 offspring, or for 12 families, and that's to prevent incest and protect the mental health of these children, because they're also worried that these kids are going to grow up going, how many half siblings do I have? And they're going to feel a connection to it.
I don't know. You know, the thing about incest is they always talk about, the kid's going to be born with 3 arms and stuff, but from what I hear, it's a little more emotional than it is, practical, physiological.
Yeah. Sure.
And, we do a thing where it's like, this guy had sex with his second cousin, and we go like, except for it's not really dangerous to do it. It's more the yuck factor, right?
Exactly.
But when you do the sperm donor, then you forget, we remove the yuck factor from the table because you didn't try to bang your second cousin or whomever. This is just this person you're attracted to. And then I wish I could date my doppelganger this way. Someone who had the same DNA.
Right.
Like we'd be sitting around. So every woman I've ever been in a relationship with, when I drive through the red turn arrow, they all go nuts. Like, hey, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? They freak out. And when I start complaining about all the things I complain about, they never know it. They never understand it. They want me to shut up. But imagine if I shared the seed with the person that was riding shotgun. we'd stop at the red arrow, and they'd go, "What are you stopping for, bitch?" And then I'd go, I just want to stop and look around for cops. I don't smell any bacon. Now, how about you fucking get going and don't spare the horses? And I'd be like, oh my God, like I'm so attracted.
It turned you on.
So attracted to this person. And then later on, I'd be like, I'm going to order a pizza. This is difficult, but I'd look around. I go, I kind of want Hawaiian style. They'd go, I love Hawaiian style. I'd go, oh.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then later on, we'd be at the diner and they'd be like, fucking cottage fries and cubed new potatoes. Where are the hash browns? And I'd be like, totally. Yeah. And then they'd go, and by the way, this iced tea, this passion fruit iced tea, this fucking swill. And they'd throw it at the waitress. I'd get a boner. And I'd be like, oh, yeah.
You'd be terrorizing diners all across the U.S.
Yes, we'd be simpatico.
On the table.
And then, unfortunately, at some point, we'd be celebrating our honeymoon, and we'd be at LAX, and she'd be like, I think I can get into the Centurion Lounge. And I'd go, oh, okay, yeah, good. Now that, finally, somebody. And then they'd tell her to go fucking pound sand, and I'd be like, oh.
You go down together.
But that's what they would have told me. Oh, this would be awesome.
You'd be simpatico. I like that.
Yeah, I could be with some chick who liked Datsun 510 race cars or enjoyed Albert Brooks movies.
Just perfectly in sync.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It would be so awesome. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, this guy.
I'm moving to The Hague.
Go over there. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you might find one of his siblings or one of his kids. So, speaking of, let's say you want to clone yourself, but as a woman, right? That's what you want. Just clone yourself and then date.
The last man show bit I ever shot was Adam clones himself. that was the last man show bit I ever shot.
Because then you're cloned to the rest of the bits.
I just remember that, like, I kind of remember like looking around going, oh, this is our last shoot. This is it. This is the last time we're going to do this.
You soaked it in?
A little bit. I remember having a memory of like, oh, this is going to be
some sperm.
This is going to be our last bit. Yeah, I think we would have had one more live show to do where we would have rolled in that bit, but that was it. Yeah, and Dr. Drew was in it.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah,
kind of full circle.
I don't know. Maybe we'll find that. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, anyway, so speaking of cloning, remember we were talking about how scientists are trying to clone the woolly mammoth, or at least bring back the extinct woolly mammoth. Mm-hmm. And then we were laughing about it because you're like, oh, that'd be good meat.
All right.
We should
Did
eat
we
that.
say that?
We did. Yeah, we talked about
good.
that. Mm-hmm. Well, scientists have grown a cultured meat with woolly mammoth DNA, and they made a meatball.
Paisans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As an Italian American, I appreciate this.
Yeah, so unveiled in the Netherlands. So, gosh, a lot of stuff going on over there on Tuesday. But they chose the woolly mammoth because of it's a symbol of diversity loss and a symbol of climate change. So it's an important message.
Climate change is what killed off the woolly mammoth?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in order to bring back this meat,
how long ago was that? Because we only have like 6 years.
Right.
I think I heard Greta Thunberg.
I know, time is running out.
I think Al Gore. Oh, wait a minute. We're fucked because in like 2007, Al Gore said we had like 8 years or something or 10 years. So
we could ask Greta, but she's being carried off somewhere.
Yeah, 10 plus 7. Oh, shit. We're past that. Oh, we're fucked.
Oh, it's over then.
Well, what I'm hearing is we can do whatever we want now because...
Like build a new coal plant
This is
every
free
2
time.
weeks in China.
Yeah, we're already in golden time here.
Yeah.
We're in OT. Okay. All right. So how many years do we got this time? All right. But when did the woolly mammoths die off because of climate change? Was that 18 years ago or?
No, it's more than that.
Civil War.
Probably Civil War era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably climate change then.
All right. Yeah.
So anyway, what they did was they took the DNA sequence for mammoth myoglobin, which is a muscle protein responsible for flavor. And then they filled in the missing gene with the DNA of an elephant. So it's kind of Jurassic Parky because the elephant's the closest living relative to the woolly mammoth. And then they inputted this formula into sheep stem cells, causing them to replicate and grow the 20 billion cells needed for synthesizing this meat. So this meatball, I mean, there's pictures of it. It's big, but nobody's tried it yet. No scientist has tried eating it. Or
Jimmy would eat it.
I believe, yeah, because he ate that.
He had a piece of Canadian bacon that had a thumbtack through it for 1 calendar year inside an office on a corkboard.
Yeah.
He ate it 1 year later.
Well, the reason
he could handle this.
Yeah, I think I'd be able to handle it. I've eaten some weird things in my day too, but
you eat shrimp tails. You could do this.
I could do this. But anyway, the reason they're not eating it is because they said they haven't seen this protein for thousands of years, so they don't know how our immune system would react if we eat it. So that's why. But
what if we mask up in between bites? That would help.
Well, according to scientists, yes. That would work.
Yeah.
So right now, Singapore is the only country where lab-grown meat can legally be sold to consumers. So Singapore is leading the way with that. So if you want to try anything remotely close to this, head to Singapore. But this past summer, the U.S. FDA declared that cultivated chicken is safe to eat, meaning, this might be happening soon.
I don't know, but they don't like farmed trout, right? They like wild caught.
Right. That's a big...
But, I was thinking about wild caught the other day. Like every commercial is like wild caught salmon, wild caught perch, or wild caught trout and stuff. We call it wild caught, but to the fish, it's not wild caught. That's their home. Yeah. That's where they live. It would be like if somebody speared me in my fucking den watching TV and went, wild caught human. I'd be like, not for me, it's not.
Yeah, I wasn't even outside.
I'm in a bathrobe, bro.
Come on.
No, we caught him in the wild. My wild is watching TV.
Yeah.
So
their wild is...
I say we should be called wild caught trout to us.
To us.
Not to them. They're in a brook. That's where they live.
Yeah.
I'm outraged.
They're like those bears we saw in Alaska.
Right.
And they're catching the fish. They're not wild catching them. They're at the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went to the lunch wagon.
To them.
They're at a Golden Corral. That's not wild.
Right.
You shoot a fat guy at a Golden Corral and take him home and eat him. He's not wild caught human. I'm outraged by this, and I demand change.